Welcome, everybody, to a marvelously special episode of the Beard Owl Podcast. It's the podcast where we talk about two of the greatest things in the world, beer and Weird Al, and mostly Weird Al. The beer's just for me. It's my shtick that I enjoy. And, I'm super excited today because we have... Oh, you two guys, I'm just so pumped to talk to you. And I'm really bad at introducing people on my show. So I see your names in front of me. You are Michael and Steven, Mike and Steve, however you'd like to be called. I'm not exactly sure just yet. But you two have done something that I feel like the Weird Al fandom has been clamoring for some time. You are the people responsible for the masterpiece that is the Weird Al pinball machine, otherwise known as Weird Al's Museum of Natural Hilarity. So first of all, welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Yeah. So, first, usually at the beginning of these, I'm mostly generally talking to podcasters, and I say like, hey, tell us about your show and like what it is you do and where should people, listen to you and stuff. But I guess right at the beginning, I'm going to give you like time to just sort of elevator pitch, introduce yourselves and kind of what you do and where you do it and how this whole majestic thing came to be. So do you want me to flip a coin for who gets to go first, or does somebody just want to jump in? And we got to not it. So Steve, it's you.
Well, I'll talk about the pinball machine itself, the Weird Al's Museum of Natural Hilarity. It's a pinball machine. It's a module that's on the P3 Multimorphic P3 platform. Multimorphic is the company, and we make a platform called the P3. It's a multi-game system. So if you imagine a Nintendo that we had when we were growing up, where you had cartridges that you could swap out, I'm using we.
The royal we.
Doing a whole lot.
The royal we.
We have a lot of really brilliant people at the company. I'm at the bottom of that list. So we've got these modules that you can pull out. It's a fully modular system, and so the back third of the playfield will pull out, and you can swap games. And so we've got fully software games that you can play on it, but you can also have hardware games that you can play on it. In the back third of that playfield, you can pull it out, you can swap it out, and you can pop in a whole new game, and you can have a whole different game experience where all the shots and everything swap out, and it comes in. Weird Al was our fifth playfield, I believe, that we had. Fifth game, I believe it was. But between Weird Al and all of our recent games, we've got, between Weird Al and our other hardware games and our software games, we've got 20 games on the platform now. So if you own a P3, you have access to 20 different games that you can play in your house.
That's amazing. And I will tell you this, that whole setup was completely foreign to me until this Weird Al pinball got announced. And my husband was looking into it, and he was like, oh, I might be able to afford this. And he just saw what the Weird Al kind of quote unquote plug-in for it was. And then he came to learn that you needed like the P3 thing to do it. He's like, oh, he goes, I've got Weird Al money, but I don't have put Weird Al in the P3 kind of money. I was like, darn it.
Yeah, no, I mean, full pinball these days is expensive, yeah. Right? Like if you go and you look at any full pinball machine is expensive, but the value proposition of the platform is that once you buy into the system, you buy the cabinet once, you buy the back box, you buy all this expensive stuff once, and then every new game that comes out, you get it for a fraction of the price of a new system, right? And so some of the best value, it's one of the best values in pinball, I believe. So if you every year we're releasing new games and new hardware games and new software games. Some of these software games that come out are like $200 or so. That's a whole brand new system gaming experience on these playfield. It changes it all up because the lower third of this playfield, and I didn't explain this, the lower portion of the playfield is this ball tracking screen, to where we can completely change the context and change the environment that you're playing in. And it interacts with the ball as the ball is rolling over it. So the ball will interact with virtual targets and everything. And so you can completely write a whole new software package for that and release a whole new game for that. And we do first party new games, new software packages that come out for our existing playfields. And we've got an SDK available, so third parties can go and release games on the system as well. And so we have a lot of third party developers out there releasing games on the system. And Michael just released a third-party game system that has become beloved in the community for people that own the Heist playfield, which is another one of our games that is called Dungeon Door Defender. That is amazing. It's like a tower defense game on the system, and so it's awesome.
That's great. You just gave me a segue to have Michael introduce himself.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm Michael Ocean. I write a lot of software, I guess is the most succinct way to say what I do. But yeah, so we the P3 platform enables a lot of really different pinball experiences, right? So as Stephen was saying, right, if you imagine replacing the static wood that's always there at the bottom of the pinball machine for like a really good reason, that thing is wood, right? You drill holes through it to put flippers in it. You drill holes in lots of places, and you don't want to drill holes in screens. So, when you decide, we're going to replace that piece of wood with a screen, you have all these technical challenges that come into play about re-engineering how the whole thing works. But now that it's all been re-engineered and done, someone who buys this thing has the experience of loading up Weird Al, and then you're in the lobby of the museum and you shoot your shots, and then you start a pinball mode, and now you're zoomed into the microscope in germs, and then you start another mode and you're out in the streets and in traffic jam, right? And so it gives us this ability to completely change the context of what's going on, which is pretty rad.
That is super rad. And I noticed that again, the one time I got to play this particular game, full disclosure to the listeners of the Beard Out podcast, I love playing pinball. I'm very bad at playing pinball. I just kind of enjoy the experience of just seeing the creativity in all of these things. So I kind of mentioned to you two before we hit go on this that a friend of mine in the podcasting community, MJ, he's a ranked pinball player. And so when I found out I was talking to you two, I was like, what kind of questions should I ask him? And the questions he gave me are kind of in order, but you really started when you went into that, the whole thing about the P3 system, which again, I just gave myself like a crash course and like, oh my God, okay, this makes a whole lot of sense. I understand it more than I did even 48 hours ago. So one of the questions that I think a lot of people, especially, pinball enthusiasts would want to know for a game like this, because it seems like there's a lot of interesting things you can do with the P3 system. But so are there, in this particular case, were there any unique like freedoms or limitations that you found kind of putting a game out like this in this particular like platform? Does that make sense?
There's always trade-offs when you're designing a game, right? You always you've got a limited amount of space in any place that you're working for, but we're able to do things on the P3 that we couldn't do on any other pinball machine, right? Like Michael said, we've got this mode in germs where you literally zoom into the microscope and you're bashing these germs around on the screen, and the ball is hitting the germs and changing them and interacting with the actual items on the screen. We've got and for if some people come in there and they think like, oh, everything's in the back third of the playfield, but that's the way pinball's been for a long time, because you have shots at the back and everything else, and there's more packed into this machine than almost any machine released in the last couple of years. We've got tons and tons of stuff on this machine. There's like 2 lift ramps. There's on that right ramp, we've got 6 different destinations that you can go to from that one right ramp, because we've got so many diverters in that one destination.
Stephen, where can you go? Where can you go from that right ramp? Name some places you can go.
Well, you go up the right ramp. We can catch it on a magnet. We can lift that ramp, and we can drop it back down the wire form towards the flipper. So we can stop it. We can drop it back down. We can hit it, and we can drop it back down the spiral. We can hit it. We can sit it up there, and we can put it onto the mezzanine where it goes down to the left flipper. You can stop it and you can send it to the hamster wheel. There's a physical hamster wheel in this.
I saw that.
We can lock the ball in there, and we can sit it in there where it's hanging out with Harvey for a while. The hamster wheel.
I had that happen.
We can send it instead of on the skywalk where it's coming down to the left flipper, we can send it all the way over to the upper playfield, the mezzanine, where you've got an upper flipper up there, and you can play on that upper playfield, which is it's the cafeteria up there where you're playing around. And then, yeah, I think that's everywhere you can go. I think I didn't miss any of them, but it's just a ton of action you can do on that right ramp. And we've got another lift ramp that's on that spiral ramp, which is that spiral ramp's incredible. It's like one of the most satisfying shots in pinball when you get that first launch shot and you nail that spiral ramp up there to hit that skill shot at the beginning of the game. And with the first time I was watching Gerry on stream testing that shot out, and he hit that. He not only hit that, but then he nailed the loop on the upper playfield, because it goes all the way to the upper playfield, and he nailed the loop, and then he locked it into the UHF camera at that for what we call the super duper skill shot. And Gerry Stellenberg is the founder of the company, and he's the owner. He's the guy who, he's a genius. He's the guy that came up with all the technology behind the P3, and he's a very serious guy. He's hard to impress, and you just saw it in his eyes. He's like, whoa, that was amazing. And so it's one of these things that you never really know how something's going to work out until you actually get it built in the real world and you play it. And the first time he actually nailed that shot and saw it come out, we're like, this is amazing how it came out. So we were blown away by the stuff that you can actually do on this playfield.
And when you see it just in the prototype phase, it's just wood, right? It's wood and metal, and it's all kind of, hand wavy. But with the artwork done and everything printed, when you shoot that spiral and it goes around the hamster wheel, right? So it's like you're going up a giant staircase in a museum, and then it shifts around through the food court and shifts back around and then lands in the UHF camera, like complete with Al talking to you the whole time. It's a incredible experience. Like it's
yeah.
It's pretty rad.
The whole thing is so cool, especially with Al talking to you. And that leads me to another thing that I and so many people definitely want to know is like, how much input did Weird Al have into this, and like what sort of access did you have to to his catalog, or that kind of thing. So I don't know the answer to anywhere near this. Like, how much input did Al have, and what was that like?
So when we were doing so from the very beginning, he was pretty active. We were bouncing ideas off him and everything. He gave us, basically said, we can pick the songs, and we went through, and he made one substitution on one song, I think, because he said this is one that he would prefer us not to use, just because he thought it was one of his lesser songs, right? He preferred another song that we would use. And so we went through, and we were trying to pick a balanced sampling of all of his. You want to talk about a difficult task?
Yeah.
Going through that large of a catalog and trying to pick 17 songs from Weird Al's massive catalog and trying to narrow it down. I remember after we had locked it in and we felt really, really good. We had locked it in, and Gerry started the negotiations, because it's not just licensing negotiations with Al, it's with also everybody that owns the rights to all those other songs and everything. After that, I remember Michael's like, wait, Party in the CIA, like, let's go after that. And it's like, really, man, all these, and then we all just, wait, this would be great too. And there's all these that you could always come up with all these other songs that are great. But no, he was fantastic. And whenever we would pitch ideas, and I remember we got to the end of the process, and we finally sent the final game off for him to look at and to give approval on. And I've always heard, this was our first licensed game, I've always heard licenses are very hard to deal with, and you always have to deal with a ton of disappointment, and you do a lot of work and then they reject it all. And so I was sweating bullets for quite a few days, like waiting for approval to come back. And he, with the note we got back, was basically like, him and his wife were just sitting on their couch watching the stream, just laughing at everything, just loving everything that we did. Like, because they got that this was a game made by Weird Al fans. Like, we appreciated his whole history. We put a lot of effort into trying to give respect to the lore that is Weird Al in this game, and incorporate as much as we could. And he came back with one change. He was like, "Hey, change this number to a 27 and we're done." And I was like, "Man, licenses are easy. What are people complaining about? I got spoiled on this, you know?"
Weird Al will do that.
He was terrible.
Yeah, we were like, "Oh, we don't want to overdo the 27 thing," and then it was like, "No, you should go right ahead." We're like, awesome.
Yeah,
we were.
great.
It's so hard when what you're working on. You're like, I hope Weird Al thinks that what he's gonna look at what we're. I hope he likes it. Are we funny? Are we good? Please tell me we're okay. And yeah, it's a very stressful moment when you get positive feedback and you're just like running around the house like he looked at my thing and I am slightly validated by I don't want to overstate, but you know,
oh no,
a living legend, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like recently interviewed Eric Appel, who directed Weird, the Al Yankovic story here, and
amazing.
He had very similar emotions happening, you know, because I mean, he wrote the freaking thing with Al, but there was still a whole level of, oh my god, like we're doing this thing that this guy, this thing, oh my god, it's happening, you know. So I can only imagine. Like the only thing I have is I know that he knows this show exists and he's told me that he likes it, and that's it. And I'm like, okay, cool. I can live with that. That's great, you know. So I can only imagine like receiving direct feedback from him on a thing that he has some input on and has like a little bit of a stamp of approval that he can make happen. Like that's just absolutely wild. So he's talking to you through the whole game. Were those new vocal recordings from him for this specifically?
Yeah. So what we did was we would when we were getting feedback, we were mostly dealing with Jay Levy, his manager. So we would send stuff back and forth through Jay because Al's very busy.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's one of the hardest working people in Hollywood.
Sure is.
And so we would get a bunch of feedback through him. So there wasn't a whole lot of direct communication during the preparation of the game, but we knew that this game was going to. We knew this game had to. It had to have Al. It had to have Al front and center. We had to cram. We had to jam it full of Al, and so we went for it, and we wrote a ton of. They're called voice callouts in the game. The voice script on this. So we wrote a ton, and I've talked to some of my colleagues in the industry that have done this before, and they're like, yeah, when you get somebody like that, usually get them in there for like an hour in the recording studio, maybe, and then they're done. And you're lucky if you get like a few pages of script, and half the time they'll throw out half the script because they're like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I had Al in that recording studio for 3 hours, and it was absolutely amazing because he had just this incredible energy, and just like that, he turned on that energy, and it was like just like 1989, instantly like that, and it made his voice and all that energy like screaming at the top of his lungs. And I felt bad because it was like I'm abusing this man's voice, like he is. And I kept telling him, I'm like, if you want, I can start throwing pages away because I prioritize things. I was like, we got the stuff we need at the front. All this stuff at the back is the stuff that is the really nice to have, the stuff we want, but we've got the stuff we need at the front. And I was like, I can start throwing pages away if you're tired. And he was like, no, my voice is going to be dead tomorrow, but I'm here as long as you need me. And he's everything everybody says about him. He is the nicest person you've ever met. And he had the greatest attitude the entire time. And it was solid. Gerry stayed on and listened a little bit at the beginning, and because I took over directing, and he stayed on for a while, and then he left, and he was telling everybody, he's like, if this stays on the entire time, it's absolutely amazing, because he couldn't believe how much energy. And there would be times when I'd be like, okay, we got it, and he's like, no, let me give it like 6 or 7 more takes, because I think
of course
I can do this stuff. And he would, and he was ad-libbing and doing his own thing and doing and doing stuff. And so we went through that entire 3 hours and got through that. And there's over 3,000 callouts in this game, in this pinball machine. Most of the time in a pinball machine, you're usually lucky to have a couple hundred callouts. And that's what a normal pinball machine has. And because we were working with a guy like Al, we were able to get like over 3,000 callouts in this game. And so you'll be listening to it, and you'll own this game for years, and you'll be like, whoa, he said that slightly differently this time. Like you'll hear like new stuff as if you own this game every time you play it. You're like, I've never heard that one before, you know? And we like little things like if you go and you hit the start button, if you flip the flippers to skip an animation or whatever, he's like, oh well, I guess you already know everything. Things like that. Like he puts so much personality into it whenever you're playing it. But we got to the end of this thing, and I could tell. I mean, he's tired and he's beat, and I was like, and we were at the end of our session. We were at the end of our time, and I was like, Al, I've got one last thing. Can I ask you to do this? And Michael's son. Sammy is a huge Weird Al fan, and I was like, "Can you record something for Sammy? Just anything, just let him know that he's a huge fan." And just like instantly, he's like, "Yeah, absolutely, no problem." And he recorded this personal message to Sammy about eating his broccoli and being a great fan, and they've been close personal fans for a long time. And so that's the audio that I used when I made my first test of the character in the game. I made the Sammy message in there, and we saved that, and we held on to it as a surprise for him that we can spring it on him when they're. And so eventually, hopefully, I'm hoping there's a flipper code you can put in the game. So if anybody's named Sammy, they can go in there and they get the Sammy message in the game. So, but I like doing that at seminars. I like showing the Sammy message up there because it's really great.
That's so cool.
We really appreciate having it too. I mean, it was insane to 3 hours of recording, and legitimately if you play any sound that was, you couldn't tell when it was recorded. It's so high energy, it's so on. And then they held that audio back for me. It was like a secret, and I was just like, why won't I need the audio. I'm programming the game, can't I have the call outs? And they like Gerry had made up some reason that I couldn't have it yet. And it was just like, well, you know how things are. It's got to get reviewed first. Like, what? This has never happened. What's going on? And it was because they were secretly trying to make sure they could remove that audio so the secret wasn't spoiled before I got a chance to hear anything. So I mean, it's amazing. And yeah, my kid was over the moon. It was amazing.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Cool. That is so awesome. And, you know, I love that story. That just speaks to the like how cool and how professional and how just on top of stuff Weird Al is and always has been. You know, I've said this on the show before, and I'm gonna say it again. Weird Al doesn't half-ass anything. Like he whole asses the whole thing all the time, and like that's super admirable. And whenever he does it, it's always awesome. So I kind of love that. Not only does this pinball machine have, you know, 17 songs, so many different directions you can go with so many different things, but like different ways to hear him say almost the exact same thing. So like there's no 2 times you're going to play this machine that it'll be anywhere close to the time that you played it before. And I think that's absolutely, that's just so awesome. That's just the coolest thing ever. And one thing that where did the whole museum thing come from?
We were pitching ideas back, right? I mean, take if you think about, I don't know, something straightforward. I don't have a good example off the top of my head, but like a movie, you're just like, okay, I know how to turn that into a pinball machine. It's this movie. But then you take a musician and you're like, okay, I know what that is. And then you take Weird Al, who's got music across, he's got Emmys, right? I mean, he's got music across multiple genres that are all completely different. And so we were trying to come up with a way, how do we put all this together? And we batted a bunch of ideas back and forth. The ideas that we rejected are probably pretty funny, pretty okay, but just ultimately nothing nearly as good as this idea, in which, you know, we kept saying this game has to be a tribute to Weird. I mean, it's basically like it's a monument. And at some point we had a warehouse idea. We had all sorts of, you know, all these weird ideas. And then it was, I think it was Steven's idea. It's a museum. It's a museum to Weird. I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's so cool. When did y'all start working on this? Like, when did that idea become the idea that was going to be? Like,
we were working on this for about a year before we launched. So we secured the license, we were ready to start running, and then we had about a year of development, and then before we launched.
Okay.
So it was a pretty fast for us to get this game through, but everybody was full steam ahead on the team. Like everybody was dedicated to getting through this and doing stuff. So
I love that. And the reason I ask the how long thing is because you know how sometimes I'm gonna crack a lot of eggs to make this omelet, but I promise you it's gonna be worth where I'm going. You know how sometimes like different cultures all have a creation story, right? And it's all like, okay, every ancient culture believes that the world happened and they have a story that it happened, in one way or another. But it's the kind of thread that makes us human is we all believe we came from something, right? And some stories are so similar, even though they're on different sides of the world. And it's like, how did this happen? It's just kind of like, well, we're human. We're kind of bound to fall on this idea. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because Nathan Rabin, who wrote, the Weird Accordion to Al, and he wrote Weird Al the book with Weird Al. His coloring book, The Weird A Coloring to Al, is like a Hall of Fame museum of a bunch of different Weird Al songs. And these two things happened separately around the same time because we're at a point culturally where reverence for Weird Al is the thing, right? Everything he does deserves to be in a museum or a Hall of Fame or this, that, and the other. And the fact that like that coloring book and this pinball machine exist like separately, but both with this is museum worthy stuff like behind it. I just think that's super cool. I just needed to make sure I said that.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy for us because we were just like, wait, this coloring book is based on a museum? What?
Yeah.
How? Huh?
Yeah, we did not have advanced knowledge of any of the other projects that were coming out, right?
It's crazy. That's what I mean. That's what's so cool.
Everybody else.
Yeah. I love that. I just think that's absolutely wild, and it just kind of blew my mind. I was like, they couldn't have known. And I love that it's just like, nope, these two very reverent museum ideas happened completely separately of each other. I think that's super fun.
I'm Richie, aka Midnight Agent Raw.
I'm Devin, aka Special Delivery Dev.
We're the Super Media Bros podcast. And each week, we give a comedically informative take on movies,
music,
television,
pro wrestling,
and much more. Check us out at supermediabrospodcast.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else that you can listen to podcasts. Shades on.
We're off.
Hey, I'm Pantsless Aaron from the BFYTW podcast, here with my buddy Stevie.
Hey, what's up?
And Augie.
Hey.
And we're here to, first of all, categorically deny the rumors going around that all we've been doing lately is copying other podcasts. This is categorically untrue, and we deny it completely. Having said that, please continue to enjoy the Beard Al podcast. But when you're done, please check out our new project, the Weird Ale podcast, where we pair an ale with a Weird Al song. Pretty sure that hasn't been done before.
So we've got to this museum idea. And then you're talking about, you're picking the songs now. And I know like that's a daunting task, with Weird Al's massive catalog, but you don't have to go all the way into it. But if you can give me a little insight into how you kind of landed on the ones you landed and the why, where there's some like that is like, no, this song absolutely has to be in it or what,
Well, we wanted a mix. We wanted a mix of parodies and we wanted a mix of originals, right? And so we know this is a commercial product, right? So you need a couple of them. You need enough of them that are the widely recognizable songs, but we also wanted beloved songs that we liked, and we wanted good pinball songs, right? And so as we're going around, we're also trying to. We knew we had this museum concept, so we're also trying to think about, okay, how are we going to find songs that are going to pair in these? We realized we're going to have these halls and stuff, and so that's basically. It was a combination of a bunch of those things. As we looked at the parodies we thought we had access to and we could get, and then we were looking around at the other kind of songs that we thought would be good pinball songs and how these ones would pair together well and make, hey, these two would make Hall of Sports and Leisure or something like that. And finding, and once we realized, hey, we've got a good set. If we lock these 5 together, we got 5 good halls that we can build, and they line up with all these shots that we've got. So that's the main thing that I think was that's how it all came about whenever we were putting them together.
That's
So
cool.
there were some fights. We did argue, right? There was
Oh,
a lot of
yeah.
Well, this is what I want to know.
yeah. If this song isn't in the game, I'm
walking.
not walking, because this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. But just know I'm thinking that I could potentially threaten that I might walk off this project if we don't get this song.
Theoretically.
Yeah, theoretically. I'll never say it out loud because, oh my gosh, what kind of a fool would walk off this project? But
I know. It's a beautiful project.
Yeah, we made some late trades in the back end, but I mean, like, I think we ended up with a strong set at the end, right? And so I'm happy with every song we got on there. So
I am too. I think it's delightful. You know, one of the things that I think about with Weird Al's music often is I have different Weird Al playlists for like different life situations. Like, you know, I've got a Weird Al workout playlist, like if I'm at the gym, or we've got an episode of the show where my husband and I actually put together a theoretical Weird Al love album, you know, because you've got the food album and the TV album. We're like, what if there was a love album? What would that look like? And we worked on like track order and things like that. So like, I understand where you're coming from with this. And so like this, like what you've ultimately put together works for the game, but is also like, yes, this would be like the Weird Al pinball album, you know? It would work as a mixtape or a playlist or anything along those lines. I think that's super cool.
Also, I got people to go up and choose to play a Crosby, Stills and Nash song in pinball game, and they choose it all the time, and they love it. And that's a big accomplishment, you know? Who knew?
Who knew? Well, that song, I'll tell you what. For those of you who aren't, you know, you're listening to this podcast, you know what we're talking about. You know what we're talking about.
Yeah,
I'm not even going to tell you. I'm not going to patronize you. But anytime at my job, I know, because I work a nice little corporate job, you know, blah, blah, blah. But anytime we have one of like those big, like corporate, like all hands meetings, you know, people are talking all that corporate mumbo jumbo out their butts. I send that song out to my entire team. And I was like, that was great, but this summarizes it, doesn't it? You know? And the fact that, you know, you got that kind of stuff in a pinball machine. I'm like, this is delightful. This is the way it should be.
Well, that's one of those things interesting. We were able to reach out to through Al's manager, through Jay. We were able to reach out to the company who did the music video for Mission Statement, and we were able to negotiate to get the actual doodles that they used in the thing. And so I had to go and reanimate all those doodles and reanimate all the drawings for all the doodles and everything, but it was like, okay, this is the actual assets from the music video. So you are playing the Mission Statement music video when you play that mode. And
that's
so
righteous.
it's another one of those things that's awesome. You know?
Man, I have one kind of like a womp question for you, mostly because we were talking about like, you know, putting all of this together and all the stuff that you got, and you had like arguments and stuff. Was there anything that like a brilliant idea that had to be left on the cutting room, quote unquote, cutting room floor, like for one reason or another, or like anything that didn't quite work the way you wanted it to, that you had to be like, no, we got to move on and do something else?
yeah, we wanted like 10 more songs
to get to 27.
Gerry wouldn't let us. Yeah, Gerry wouldn't let us bankrupt the company for some reason. I don't know why.
I mean,
he wouldn't let us license 10 more.
All the ideas that were my ideas that Gerry said no to were the brilliant ones. And
yeah, I mean, we do. I mean, I shouldn't say that. When we fought over what songs, I often came fully loaded for bear. I was like, and here's exactly how this song would play as a mode. And I could, you know, I tried to pitch it as like, this is why we need Party in the CIA, because
you could have the G-Men all around. It would be very cool.
I don't want to go into the details, but my idea is pretty great. But anyway, no, but as all of them are, right? But no, I think that's the only primary regret that I feel, which is that we are super happy with everything we did in this game, and we can keep doing more. I mean, we released an update recently, and some people were like, oh, did you add more sound calls? Because this is exactly what you were saying before, which is, did you add more sound calls? Because I thought, I don't remember this being in the game. It's like, no, that's always been in the game. There's just so much in the game. So,
awesome.
I mean, we can go back and we can tweak and we can add things, and we've done so recently. But yeah, I mean, even with all the songs we have that are awesome, sure, we wish we could put the whole catalog in there. I wish you could play through all of in 3D and then play through like just play an album at a time. But
That would
yeah, reasonably, the game would never get done.
No, of course not. Of course not. A perfect world for me, there would be a pinball machine for each Weird Al album.
Sure.
Like I'd be like, that would be great. Because this year on the show, I am going through the in 3D album track by track because it turns 40 this year. I know. So yeah, over the course of 2024, we're going to be going through in 3D track by track with special guests throughout to go through that whole thing. But yeah, that would be a visually stunning and like really fun game to play through. I don't know. See, now I don't have any money to like make even one pinball machine, let alone 13.
Well, we made one that's pretty good.
It's delightful. I love it. I'm not
think
complaining at
you'd
all.
still be pretty happy.
I think you made my favorite pinball machine that I've ever played, and I can tell that this was made by like Weird Al fans and that Weird Al had some say in it because, again, I've said at the top of this that I am not good at pinball, but I enjoy playing pinball. And so I've got a couple barcades that I go to around here. And, I've played the Led Zeppelin pinball machine, which very much looks like, okay, they did it. And then, whoever, was representing Led Zeppelin was like, okay, fine, and just kind of let it happen. It's great. And it's a lot of fun to play, but there's not as much heart in it as there is something like this. And I like the Foo Fighters one because there's a little like you've got that van going for you and stuff. Like that one's a lot of fun. But, this one came in and I'm like, not only it hit me where it hits me because Weird Al, the Weird Al of all of it. But like I know some folks that are like nowhere close to the Weird Al person that I am about it. They're like, there's so much to this game. Like you're never going to see all of it anywhere close to all of it. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's also the magic of Weird Al. And I think you did an awesome job capturing that.
Well, one thing we did when we were designing the game is that there's two design philosophies when it comes to thinking about pinball machines. There's deep games that you play and you just have to grind to get far because there's always something further for you to get to. And then there's wide games that you can press the start button and there's a lot of stuff that's close to the start button that you can get to. And you can have both. You can have a deep game that has stuff that you can always keep going for, but you can have wide games to where like you can start the game and you can be a mediocre player, a bad player. I'm on the team representing all the bad players out there, right? Because I come up and I'm terrible at it. And so I always go and play test and say, see, look, I'm terrible. But I got to make sure we make the rules easy for people like me and all the rest of us. Mm-hmm. But Weird Al is a wide game and that you can come up there and you can get there. And one of my favorite late additions that we made, and I think this was Michael's idea. So many of these ideas were Michael's idea in this game, but we added this VIP access, right? Where you hit these 3 targets and you get VIP, and then the 2 scoops in the middle. We got these walls and scoops along this side. 2 scoops pop up in the front. It's the widest target ever in pinball that you can hit. So anybody that gets that ball can just shoot it right up the middle and hit it into those doors, and then you've got access to any song you want to play in the game. And so like if you want to any of the main hall songs that you want to go to. So through normal gameplay, you would go and you'd shoot a hall and then you'd go into the ticket counter to go and play one of those 2 songs that are in that hallway. And then you'd visit all the halls that way, but you can go through VIP and you can get to any of them pretty quick. So there's so much of this game that's really close to the start button. You press the start button, you can be somebody who's bad, but you can see most of the game with just keep playing it. You don't have to be an expert to go and see almost all the game with it. At the same time, there's depth to it too, because we've got this mini wizard mode called You Make Me that's there once you've visited all 5 halls. You get to go to You Make Me, which is this really cool add a ball mode where it's really hectic and crazy and wild once you get to it. And it's kind of the halfway mark of the game. Once you've made it through, you visited all 5 halls. There's 2 modes in each hall, but you've visited all 5 halls, you get there. And then once you've played all the modes in the game, then we've got the ultimate wizard mode, which is running with scissors, which is like a speed run back through the entire hallway, where you basically go through and you visit all the halls again, and you basically playing a little snippet of every single mode in the order in which you visited all those exhibits, back through the museum all over again. And you're trying to do it as fast as possible. And it's timing you as you go through to see how fast you can do it. And the P3 system has this profile system where you can save your progress. So if you're a bad player, you can log in it with your profile, and you can play, and you can get the ball too and make progress in the game, and you can save your progress and say, okay, I'm going to save my progress this far in the game. Next time you come up to the game, you can start it. You can load that game up with that progress saved, just like you can in a normal Nintendo game or whatever. Start it back up and pick it back up with another 3-ball game later on, and keep making progress through it. So you can actually see those wizard modes without having to be an expert player, and you can get all the way through there. So you can make it all the way to the wizard mode, save your progress, and then you can, every time you come up there, you say, you know what, I want to go try running with scissors again, and just start up, load that save state, and go and make running with scissors runs at the end of it, and see how fast you can do today. So you see if you're doing better. It's because you're feeling better today.
You're
You're
feeling
feeling like
better.
a better player today than you were yesterday or whatever. So
That second cup of coffee.
Yeah,
Gonna-
right.
yeah, gonna get you through.
You run just a little bit faster. Oh my God. Like I had never really thought about it that way, like a deep game and a wide game and things like that. And I love that this has elements of both. And this is I think my job, my role as a person on this planet is kind of wax poetic about Weird Al a little bit. And I feel like his career and his catalog, and kind of him as just like the entity that he is, also does have a little bit of both, right? Because he covers so many genres. Like, he's got a wide career, and because there's an access point for almost anybody.
Yeah.
Like, you can get into him from
everybody
almost anywhere.
knows the parodies, right?
And the farther
And
you
then
go in, he's a deep game too. You made Weird Al into a pinball machine in more ways than I thought before I sat down to talk to you.
Yeah, because most people, they come in, and everybody who comes in there, what we did was we put the parodies, the well-known songs, on the easy halls to get to. The shots that are easy to hit, those are the ones that are lit for the ticket counter first, because you're going to hit that left ramp. You're going to hit these easy turnaround shots. So we made sure that Amish Paradise and White and Nerdy and Like a Surgeon, these songs that everybody knows, those are on the easy shots to hit, because those are the ones that people want to play first. They're going to go in there, they're going to say, oh, I know that song, I'm going to play it. But then when they're in there, they're going to be like, oh, what's this? What's Traffic Jam? What's this Germs song? What's these other ones? And then people start discovering these other songs. And one of the easier multi-balls to get into is Hardware Store. And I love that we're introducing a whole bunch of people to the incredibleness of Hardware Store as
The Lord's work.
As a song, because it's one of the best multi-ball energetic pinball songs of all time.
So good.
It's
just a great song.
Store.
Right? It's a great song. It's
Yeah.
such a great song.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
That's
people don't-
amazing.
Yeah. And casuals don't know.
Casuals, they don't know.
They don't know.
They just don't know.
They
Casuals.
know Dare to Be Stupid. Dare to Be Stupid's a great song.
Mhm.
Hardware Store.
Oh, and
also a
so
great
Dare to
song.
Be Stupid, and we're very proud of this. Dare to Be Stupid is the stupidest multi-ball that's ever been implemented in pinball machine ever. It is incredible. What we do is we implemented it. We played around in the world of UHF a whole lot, and so we borrowed a lot of stuff from the UHF universe, and so we kind of remixed a whole bunch of stuff. And so instead of the wheel of fish, we've got the wheel of stupidity that you spin. And so we've got this turnaround shot that's underneath the camera. And when you start Dare to Be Stupid, if you hit either side of that turnaround shot, that loop, it's a really fast loop, you spin the wheel of stupidity. And that wheel of stupidity spins, and wherever it stops, that's what you get. And it could be that you get a red snapper and you get some big points,
Very
right?
tasty.
Or it could give you something really, really stupid, like reverse flippers. And so your flippers, your right flipper button's going to flip your left flipper, your left flipper button's going to flip your right flipper.
Yeah.
Or it could give you something really, really stupid, which is inverted flippers, where if your flippers are up and you've got to press them to drop them, and you've got to release them to make them flip.
Oh,
and
no.
that really breaks your brain.
That'll
when you're
break
doing
your
it.
It's really
So
hard. It's
when
really
you are,
hard.
it's really hard. But when you get those flipper effects, you're like, it's nuts. You're screaming and you're trying to hit the wheel again to turn them off. But whenever you are in those flipper effects, your jackpots are multiplied by like 10x because they're a lot harder to hit, but they're worth a whole lot more if you can get them going. And so sometimes people will be in there and they'll hit the wheel again and they'll get another crazy flipper effect stacked on at the same time. So
oh my God, they stack? Oh Lord.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we're daring you to be stupid, right?
Well,
if
that's
you
the
don't want to
point.
be stupid, don't spin the wheel. If
Right.
you know, but we'll make it worth your while.
What
It's
are
a little literal.
Totally literal. I love it. So how many multi-ball scenarios?
We have 3 multi-balls that can all be stacked on each other. And so we've got the
more.
centerpiece of our lobby is the Allosaurus. It's the owl dinosaur that's dancing the whole time. So he kind of sits there and taps his foot while you're in the lobby while you're playing. And then when you start a multi-ball, he starts dancing and he has a hat that pops on him while you do it. And so as you stack multiple multi-balls, he gets 2 hats from 2 different multi-balls. So he'll have the Devo hat that pops on and then the hard hat from hardware store. So he'll have 3 hats on his head, but he'll do flips every time you do a jackpot and all this other stuff on the screen. So it's one of those great things. And the tile floor in the lobby is we've got this ball tracking screen, right? Well, as we light up those tiles, those tiles can track the ball. So as the ball rolls over them, they light up wherever the ball goes, right? So as the ball's going around, they light up then follow the ball. But then during multi-ball, we're lighting those tiles all over the floor like a disco floor and making them dance all around and doing all sorts of crazy stuff with that tile floor in the multi-ball. And it's an incredible light show that's going on while you're doing this. And you can stack all 3 of those multi-balls at the same time and have them all going on like hardware store. All the tools are flying around and Dare to Be Stupid. You've got that wheel spinning, and then you've got UHF multi-ball that's going on where you're trying to raise the money to save the station.
That's the one I got. I knew I got a multi-ball when I played it, and I couldn't remember which one it was because I remember after I finished, again in the barcade with my husband. We went on a weird day too. It was like before noon on a Sunday. I was like, I just want to go to make sure that I have access to this machine. And I got the UHF multi-ball. And I'm not good at pinball. So getting anything like that for me is like, oh my God, what did I do? And so I'm like freaking out, like trying to, and then as soon as I was done, I'm like screaming at the top of my lungs, like in an almost empty barcade. I got the UHF multi-ball. I don't even know what happened. Oh my God, this is the whole thing. It was so cool. And it made me very excited. So just know that, like I had a moment with that. And I was like, this is the coolest thing I think that's ever happened to me.
We love having these pinball moments in there where you go through. Yeah. And I got to brag on Michael here because Michael came up with one of the most brilliant modes in all of pinball, I think, and that's My Bologna in this game. And we talked about it, and there was no other pitches for this mode because Michael came up with it, and it was like, nope, that's it, that's the mode. And My Bologna is its own mode. It's not in a hall. It's just when you get up and you get up on the mezzanine, you're hitting targets and you're collecting food items on the targets because Weird Al's got tons of food stuff. Sure. So you hit these targets, you're collecting food. Once you collect enough food items, then My Bologna is lit, and you hit the right ramp to get up there, and you start it. And Weird Al comes out and he's like, Bologna, 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 and then he starts it, and then you basically get up. You've got to get up onto the mezzanine into the cafe where he's up there, into the food court, and then you basically shoot loops, and you are building bologna sandwiches. And so as you get up there, you're just adding toppings to this bologna sandwich. You're trying to build as tall of a bologna sandwich as you can. Loops are bologna. The targets are like veggies and stuff like that. And so as you hit more and more loops, you start getting exponentially more meat and everything. And so like your success is measured by how tall your sandwich gets. And so we've seen people on stream that have just figured out how they can go and stack it. And they're just like, more, just these really tall sandwiches. The camera starts panning down. You start seeing the menu up on top of the screen and all the little private jokes we put in there at the top of the menu and stuff like that. I laugh every time I see people building these really super tall, crazy sandwiches, that bologna sandwiches that are on this game. And so
that experience starts with Al telling you, my bologna is lit. Because in pinball, right? Shots are lit.
That's great.
Just always like, yes, it is. I'm sure it is. Let's go.
That makes me so happy. This whole thing. This is just so
Yeah.
great. You both mentioned things that you love about this game, and there is one question that a listener of my show wanted to make sure I was able to ask was, is Harvey as big of a diva as the rumors make him out to be?
Recorded no audio. No, just ran right out of the studio.
He does come out a lot, and then you miss him, and if you miss the Harvey shot, then it's always a pain in the game. So
Harvey is pretty prominent in this game, actually.
Oh,
Very, very prominent.
yeah, like if you get the Harvey lock, then it blocks access to the food court. You got to lock up Harvey, so he makes himself a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of people that be like, get out of here, Harvey. I don't want you to mow it. I want to shoot the mezzanine. So
There are people who will start weasel stomping day and then try to hit the Harvey target, and they think they're gonna, but it's not like that. They only stomp weasels. Can't stomp
hamsters.
Harvey. Come on.
No, I know. I mean, because weasels, it's tradition. That makes it okay, but you can't stop Harvey.
You gotta be reasonable.
Come on. Now, that's not how any of this works. One last thing for each of you. You've both talked about some great things in this game. And, you talked about, how it was whittling it down to the 17 songs that you used for it and stuff. What's your favorite song in the game? I know.
Man.
Tough question for last.
It's really tough.
It's hard. I'll let you give one and then like as many honorable mentions as you like, but like give me like a front runner if you have it.
Right now. Go ahead.
Right now. I know that's the thing.
Well, it changes.
It
You
does.
know how it is. You make playlists for different moods. You can't pick just one.
But like right now.
Well, I'll say this. It's not a mode. I think, and I never grow tired of it, I think Fun Zone is the greatest pinball song that's ever been written. And we use it as our main lobby song. We were trying to find like what's our main song that we're gonna play, and we had our audio guy. We were thinking like we're gonna use Fun Zone for a multi-ball or a wizard mode or something. We're trying to save something for it, but we're just like it's Fun Zone.
It's Fun
Like
Zone.
it just you press start and you want to hear Fun Zone, and like I never get tired of like pressing start and hearing Fun Zone play. And even though it's not a mode, I love Fun Zone in that game. But
But what you did there was correct.
Yeah.
I didn't even think that was the kind of thing that there would be a question about, right? Because if you go to see Weird Al in concert, what happens before he comes out on stage?
Yeah.
Fun Zone.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's the song for that. And like so it's absolutely correct, absolutely appropriate. And that is like the biggest Weird Al hype song that there is. Hey, like it's yes. That's where you want that to be. So respect your answer. I like that answer.
No. And I used Fun Zone. I used Dare to Be Stupid in all our promotional ads too. So
That's also correct.
Come on, Michael. Got to pick one of your babies.
It might be. They're not my babies. I wish. Heart. I think I'm always happy to get Hardware Store, right? I'm always happy to hear Hardware Store. I'm happy to hear everything, but I'm always happy to hear Hardware Store. I get in a mood where I really want to hear Germs. I'll get in a mood where I really want to hear something specific. Maybe I'll listen to Amish Paradise. So Traffic Jam is fun.
Mhm.
Word Crimes can be fun. Sometimes I really, but every time Hardware Store starts, it's just like, I mean the song, right? I mean, not even just in the mode, it's even bigger because he's screaming Hardware Store at you. But yeah, I think it's Hardware Store.
I respect you landing on that, and I don't think that's absolutely not a wrong answer. That song is very special, because he won't ever perform it live because he can't. It gets too fast in the middle. So that's not the kind of thing you're like, well, maybe I'll see Weird Al perform Hardware Store in concert. It's like, no. So what you've done with this game is give Hardware Store a performance that it never actually had. So something special happens with Hardware Store in this pinball game because we only hear it. There's no video for it. There's no nothing. it's just on the album. That's it. And now it has a thing because he's never performed it. You know, I'm like, okay, yeah, that answer is also correct. So there was no wrong answer. So you were both going to be correct no matter what you said. But like you're all both like extra correct. And so I appreciate that.
But I also might have said mission statement or traffic jam. But
They're both great.
Yeah, they're also great. Yeah, but yeah, no,
They wouldn't have been wrong.
I should have let you stop. You won.
I won. Yay. Oh, okay. Guys, this was wonderful. I asked all the things I wanted to ask. Was there anything else you wanted to add or say or anything like that? I'm not trying to put you on the spot because I feel like we did a great job talking about this game.
Weird Al is awesome.
Yes.
See him live if you can. Bring a young person to start experiencing Weird Al anew. I took my son not too long ago, and it was his first live show, and it was Weird Al, and it was amazing. And since then, I think it's related. He's like picked up the guitar for real, and like has like a real genuine interest in music now that wasn't necessarily there before. But yeah, Weird Al changes lives, and play some pinball. Ideally play our pinball. But pinball is a lot of fun. And if you can fuse like the best two things together, that's pretty sweet.
So poetic. I love it.
Yep.
I agree.
If I could make a recommendation, go see Weird Al, and then just whisper to everybody around you that you designed the Weird Al pinball machine. That goes a long way.
I bet it does.
I was king of the nerds.
I bet it does. That's got to go even farther than being like, hey, I've got that Weird Al podcast that you probably heard once or twice. That's happened. I've been in lobbies at Weird Al concerts, and they're like, oh, you're the lady. And I'm like, I am the lady. Like, I'm known. I'm like, I'm the Weird Al lady. That's how people know me. I'm like, no, I'm not going to be mad about it. And like the younger Weird Al fans, there are a bunch of them who are like, you know, like 19, 20, 21, like that, you know, weird Gen Z place to be. They're very active in like funky little corners of the internet, and they have found me and have claimed me as like their aunt. I'm like their weird auntie, and I'm like, I'll take it. And I'm proud of all of them.
You have the hardest thing to get in the world, which is the respect of young people.
I know. Well, and I teach college, so I kind of have to figure out how to do it, right? So, you know, it's like, like you got to find your door. And I guess I'm just like, look, we're all weird in our own way. Let's just accept it and move on. Let's go, you know? Yeah. Oh, gentlemen, thank you so much. And thank you for helping to bring something wonderful into the world for us nerds to enjoy and to celebrate. You know, Steven, if you're king of the nerds, then you brought in something into the world to celebrate the Lord of the nerds. Your friend and mine, Weird Al.
I was temporarily king of the nerds for just one night. But
well, you got nice. Oh no. Oh no. They stole your crown. Oh gosh. Guys, I think this has been wonderful. Thank you for being here, and we, you know, talk again soon. You're both welcome back here whenever you want to talk about anything Weird Al, because clearly your hearts and souls are in the right places.
40 years in 3D.
I know. Stop it. I don't want to know, but that's what's happening. Yeah.
How can that be? He's 35 or something.
I know. Well, he's got that Benjamin Button disease.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. This is so much fun.
I'm so glad you had fun. All right, Weird Al podcast, folks. Stay tuned, because in the coming weeks, yeah, like we said, we're gonna start diving into in 3D for the rest of 2024, and we have some other fun guests lined up too. So stay tuned, and we'll come at you again next time. Bye.